Hi everyone, I'm Sue Cook, and those of you who've been following me since the beginning know who I am, but you probably don't know about all the bits and pieces along the way with my journey. So I thought I would just make this video to explain what I've been doing. So in 2006, when my little boy was 6, he was diagnosed with dyslexia, and this is the story that you know. You can watch the interim bit on loads of videos I've done. So long story short, I learned neurodevelopment. My phone began ringing off the hook, and that was what I was doing for the next few years, seeing little people who'd come to see me with dyslexia every Saturday and other days during the holidays. And I started working with them and I absolutely loved it. And that's what I was doing. And then in 2011, in October, somebody asked me to train them in neurodevelopment, and that was after seeing me speak at a conference. So I wrote a training program and I started training people, and I started I think I only mentioned it a couple of times, and all these people just kept coming for training. So now I'd got all these patients coming to see me and all these people coming for training. Absolutely loved that as well. I called that Brainbuzzz. That's one word, 3 Zs, as most of you know who've been following me. And then so I continued doing that, and then I started writing the books that seemed to need to be written. So those of you who've been following me from the beginning will know about those too. So I think the first one was Nutrition for Special Needs, which I wrote with Karen Stevenson, and then I wrote Eat for Your Brain, and then I wrote a compilation of essays from when I've been on the radio, and it was Maximise Your Child's Potential, and that included loads of speeches I'd given and loads of articles, for example, left-handedness and living with learning issues and all sorts of stuff like that. It's all in their yellow book, that one. And then somebody asked me if I would help them with early onset dementia, and I didn't know, so I said to them, I don't know, I've never done that. So they said, please try. So I did, and this person got better. So then I tested what I'd done for the next 2 years on a load of different people who were willing, obviously. I would just like creep up behind people, go, whoa, do this. So luckily, you know, they were all willing. Big bonus. So what I did was I was putting them through the exercise program I do with my children, but not everything, just things that adults might require to keep their brain active, like balance and things like that. Movement, flexibility, strength, and also nutrition, because what I'd done with the early onset dementia case was put her on a heavy metal detox. And although I didn't realize at the time, because we're talking 2024, 2025, no, long time ago, sorry, numbers, 2015 or 16. Yeah, so we're talking like 11, 12 years ago, something like that. I put her on a heavy metal detox, and I didn't realise that's what I'd done at the time, because in my head I was giving her high density nutrients, superfoods, which is why I wrote Eat for Your Brain, because that was the book I needed for that patient, and I didn't have it, so I wrote it. And it became at the time my bestseller, because loads of my colleagues then had that on their desk, because it was a reference book. So you looked up the condition at the beginning, and then you would look up what it suggested for it in superfoods, which is all in science. I mean, there's so much science in there. And then you go to the superfood itself, then you'd read all about what it does and how it helps you. So it's a reference book. It's not a sort of reedy book that you'd sit down and cuddle up with in front of the fire or anything like that. So then I continued doing what I was doing. And this took us up to 2020, which was a bit of a tricky year all round. And the government said we couldn't work, so I kind of had to shut down my practice, which is a bit awkward. Did a few things on Zoom, but other than that, wasn't really seeing very many patients. And also I'd moved to Suffolk. So my practice slowed down a bit in some ways. And then it picked up again. So I was still seeing patients again, but by this time my children had left school. So the demographic was different of people recommending me all the time, which was like 95% of my practice. And then I wrote Brain in a Jar. Brain in a Jar I wrote because that was the write-up of what I'd done for the dementia patient. And I thought that needed writing up to help more people. So then I went on a load of podcasts, went on Richard Phobes, and got loads of attention out for that book there. And then went on Philly J. Lay, which was lovely. I love doing podcasts. Also went on Althea Finch a couple of times, and talked about Brain in a Jar and what I was doing with the dyslexia and all of that. And then, so now we're like to a couple of years ago, then I got diagnosed with malignant melanoma on my arm here. Can you see my nice scar? So that got taken out, and I was thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do? Something untoward were to happen. I better write down what I do for my patients. So I wrote Level Up, How to Be a Neuro Ninja, which is basically everything that I do with my patients. Not the screening, it's just the exercises. So, you know, just follow it through. So that's the easiest way for people to get my help. And I've left something funny and important out. So we have hens, and a long time ago, my partner's very good at doing things. He's a really doer, and he's really good at all that. And I was trying to find things I could do back for him. And one of them was making coffee in the morning. So I'd make a coffee in the morning, take it up to him in bed. And he would say to me, what are the hens doing? And I would just like look out the window and see what they were doing. And in my head, it wasn't like, they're pecking the floor. It would be, they're just off for their daily adventure. And it turned into this huge kind of saga, not really a saga, turned into a huge bunch of things where each hen had their own career and their own profession, sometimes, not always, if only if they wanted to. And it became like this banter, and it became in our conversation real. So for example, I'll tell you about, Jessica. Jessica's not with us anymore, but she was a cuckoo bantam. So she's slightly larger than a cauliflower. So she's more your big cabbage. And she, well, put it this way. One day I was typing up her notes because chickens can't type and their spelling's awful, don't say. And I was like typing, and I was like reading what I'd written. It's like, this looks like detective notes. And I showed my partner, and we were like, this is interesting. And it turned out, I'm like cutting a long story short here, right? Turned out that Jessica was a private head investigator for the Met. She would go into places and she would like take notes on what they were saying, because no one notices a small black chicken. See what I mean? I mean, I literally haven't done a chicken check to see if there's one in here like spying on me. I just like hope there isn't. But her name, so Jessica's detective name, turned out to be Burton Coggles, private head investigator. And so she went off on detective adventures, and I would write up her notes. But we never told the other hens, because we she obviously had an MBE, and we didn't want them to feel like bad about not having such a high profile career or anything. So we didn't really kind of tell them. But what happened after some years of creating this narrative around the hens was I wrote 2 books on all their adventures, which was the Chicken Report, because it was the Chicken Report I was taking up to my partner every morning. And so the Chicken Report, which was cartoons of their adventures. So like Lily Allen, she's 13, she's henopausal. And at this time of year, her comb gets very red and she starts cock-a-doodle-doing in the morning. This is true. And then in the summer, later in the summer and in the winter, her comb will go like really, really pale and she won't crow. But at the moment she's doing the crowing. So we get woken up to at the moment, which is kind of funny and cute. But anyway, so yeah, 2 volumes of Chicken Report, which were reviewed independently and separately in Poultry magazine or Country Smallholder or something like that, in their poultry section, and they absolutely loved it. But recently I've created 1 volume from the 2, so you can get in one, and on the front of it, it's the hens playing pin the tail on the chicken, because that's one of their popular parlour games that they like to play. So the chicken report is ongoing. I haven't made any new cartoons for a while. In fact, since I wrote Level Up How to Be a Neuro Ninja, I haven't added to it specifically, but obviously we still see their adventures every day, and they tell us what they're doing, which is lovely actually, because it's nice when you've encouraged your flock to, you know, have their own adventures. And so after all these years of working with people's nervous systems, I started to notice patterns, because that's what happens. And I noticed that when you are very, very stressed, you make a bad decision. And that's kind of fairly obvious, isn't it? But the reason why you do that is because you're active from your amygdala at that time. And so I plotted 5 different geography places in the brain where we can make decisions from. And then, do you want to see something big? Okay, so hopefully don't drop this. This is the decision tower. It's 5 floors. These are the 5 geography places where we make decisions from. And so this red one would be the amygdala, and we're going up here to the more frontal cortex area. So I've made it into a game called Escape the Basement. So the red floor is the basement, and that coincides with the amygdala. And none of the floors are wrong. They're all perfectly valid. It's just that we move in and out of them all the time. So for example, right, I'm sitting here in the kitchen and I'm quite calm, I'm very calm actually, and I'm not in the basement. So I'm probably up in the green floor, which is, you know, expansion. I'm thinking, I'm sharing knowledge with you. I might even be in the purple floor in the creative zone at the front here in the frontal cortex. But so I'm pretty relaxed, and my heartbeat is quite calm. Now, if a lion suddenly came, I know, unlikely, but round here you never know. A lion would come in through the front door. I wouldn't be sitting here going, chill, you know, all of this. I'd be going, wah! Run away. And I would be trying to undo the back door and get out as fast as I could. So adrenaline would kick in. I'd be in the basement, in the place where we need to only focus on survival. Now, what I noticed, because I did say to you already about this is all observations I've made. When we are in a survival mode, our only focus is survival. But, okay, now if we're making decisions that don't need to be made from a survival basis, if we're making them in a survival mode, our decision's not going to be great, is it? Because we're only going to be focusing on survival. So when we're making different kind of decisions, our nervous system needs to be in alignment with the decision we're making. Does that make sense to you? Can you hear that kind of logic? So if we're up here in so this is the frontal cortex, you see, you can see all round. In the basement, you've only got one escape route, but here we've got lots of escape routes, and we can have many, many, many choices as how we're going to do something. So if you're going to be making a decision, you want to be having loads of choices. So I also created 5 characters that coincide with each of the floors. So we've got Survival Sally. She is a basement character. Stabilizing Stella. We've got Strategic Trevor. And then we have Expansion Ella and Aligned Alison. So these go with the floors. So what I did was I've invented 12 games that go with that, and I've called the game Escape the Basement. And so there are multiple ways to play it, and it's progressive. So you learn about where you are. So you learn to identify the floor you're on physically. So I'm like, oh, is this a basement moment? Or, oh, have I just, oh, I think I need to go to the basement to deal with this. Or, oh no, I'm much more chill, whatever it is. But so you're learning to work out where you're at. So why is this important? So it's important because when you are making decisions in your business, particularly for your business, you need to be aligned with what's going on so that you can make the best possible decision, and amongst your team. So whilst this is a game, it's a collaborative game, it's not a competitive game. And I've made lots of event cards. So you pull an event card and you see what it says, and then you do what it says. So the event cards are whoever you are, whether you're a character or on the floor, whatever, you've got an event card and you have to see how you're going to react to it. These are collaboration cards, and I've got regulation cards here. So these are about regulating your nervous system. But I've created 8 decks to play. And so you're going to use progressively more of them. At the beginning, you're only really going to be using event cards. But as you learn more and more, you're going to be adding in more of the other cards so that you can make a more complex game and use your knowledge that you've learned at the beginning to build on it strategically to play the game. So I just really wanted to bring you up to date with what I've been doing, because if you look at my website, I've been following myself, oh, she's doing this now, oh, she's doing this now, and it probably sounds very fragmented potentially, but actually if you look at it, it isn't. It's all really been therapeutic. So I've been a health scientist for 30 years, degree qualified health scientist, and I'm a degree qualified homeopath, but I haven't really been doing much homeopathy. I think that the journey into homeopathy was really to get me to doing neurodevelopment. That's how I feel about it, and I think that neurodevelopment is really where my heart's been all these years, and working with the nervous system, because I seem to be quite good at that. And I will say this, the parents of the children who come into my clinic describe me as being a half mad scientist and half children's entertainer, and I'm sure you can understand that having watched this video with all the kind of segue into chickens and back again. But it's all part of my personality and the way I tackle problems, because I'm very much a problem solver, you know, and I reflect back to the kind of horrendous decisions I've made in my life, and I just know exactly why I did that now. And I think if you can work out how to prevent other people doing that by training, then you can save a lot of problems, both in their personal life, in their business, and in other areas, which I think is a really brilliant skill to share. So the way forward, if you're asking, so I still see patients in my clinic in Woodbridge, and I am still training people when they want to learn neurodevelopment. So those things are still there. I've also got some other courses online, whatever. But what I'm really passionate about at the moment is this, the decision mastery framework, which I've created, and the game that I'm developing at the moment, or developed actually, is Escape the Basement. So I've run training in that already, and I'm embarking now on training people in Escape the Basement. So the trainings I've done so far in the decision mastery, quite a few of the people who have attended those want to learn to be facilitators in Escape the Basement and in the decision mastery, so that they can take it out to their networks, which I'm really excited about, because when you create something groundbreaking and new and then people absolutely love it and really get on board with it and want to learn it, that's a really big appreciation. And obviously they've sat through 2 hours of me explaining it. But with Escape the Basement, it's a really fun game, and it's experiential, so you're learning from doing it, as I have previously stated. So what I want to say to you is that is a very quick nutshell, bringing you up to date with where I'm at and why I seem to be doing different things. But so this video is really to bring all of this together so that you can see what I'm doing. And of course, I still sell my books. They are available not only on Amazon, but they are available in my shop. And in my shop, I also sell really good quality supplements. So I sell them because they're really good. Have I got any? Oh yeah, look, I've got a couple here that I take. So I've got my organic multi-mushroom. Oh my God, I love this. Take it every day. D3K2, which is essential for me because I've had skin cancer twice. And D3 is really useful. The other skin cancer I had was here. This was a basal cell. And that was about 13 years ago, and this one here was last year. And what else have I got to tell you? So yeah, supplements, books, courses, one-to-ones with me, and now the decision mastery. You can still contact me on www.brainbuzz.co.uk. That's one word, 3 Z's, as you probably already know. My website crashed a couple of years ago or whatever last year, so I've been rebuilding it, and it's been through a bit of a mission to get it sorted. I still have my YouTube, and if you're watching this on my YouTube, you know that it's a child brain whisperer, Brainbuzzz and Sue Cook, whatever. And I have my Instagram as well, and my link tree. My Instagram is, I think, Sue Cook Brainbuzzz, my main one. And I'm on LinkedIn, Sue Cook. You can find me there. I will post links below. I've got my link tree, which again I'm sorting out because my website has been lagging with the links that are on there, so I'll update that to bring that up to speed. By the time you see this, hopefully that will be done. And I have talked to you solidly for 20 minutes. I didn't know that was possible without taking a breath. I hope that you have learned things from this and that this is useful. You can see that I'm very dedicated to helping people, and that's why I've written my books and gone out of my way to create all these things to help people. So if you want to get involved in any of this, if you can see the value in Escape the Basement for your business, I would be very happy to come along and either train you or bring somebody I've trained in to work with you so that you can learn. So I've been Sue Cook, and find me on the links below. Thank you.